Hi, I'm Barry Shaw, and welcome to The View from Israel. And today you join us with party time. Big party. Began yesterday, and it won't finish until next Sunday morning. And the party here is in Tel Aviv, and it's all part of the package that's called the Eurovision Song Contest. Yes, because Israel won the Eurovision Song Contest last year, we are hosting this year's Eurovision Song Contest. Now, this is despite Palestinian rockets and a huge attempt by the BDS movement to try and stop artists from abroad from coming and participating. I'm delighted to have a special guest on the show today. It's Jackie Goodall, who is the founder and director of the Ireland Israel Alliance. Jackie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Barry.
Glad to have you here. Jackie, tell us a little bit about your Ireland Israel Alliance. What do you do? What was it founded to do?
Okay, well, the Ireland Israel Alliance, it's a non-profit organisation here based in Dublin. We've been operational since May 2018, and the reason we set up really was to continue and develop the very good work that our predecessor Irish for Israel did. But we set up as a completely new organisation. So Irish for Israel kind of shut down, and we started up with a new website and all new social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we've also set up a YouTube channel. And why we're here really is to try and bring clarity and understanding to public perception here in Ireland all about the Israeli-Palestinian situation. And we also...
Sorry, Jackie, to interrupt. How many followers do you have?
Well, we have 10,000 followers on Facebook, which I'm pretty pleased about. We grew that quite quickly within the last year, and that's all organic growth. We have just over 2,000 on Twitter. We have a smaller following on Instagram, but that's something that we want to develop because I keep getting told that it's the millennials who follow Instagram. So we need to make sure that we're reaching them too. And then on our mailing list, we have about 2,000 people that we mail to regularly as well. But at the moment, we don't have like a paid membership scheme, but that's something that we might look into in the future.
Okay. Well, the reason I have you on, Jackie, is because I mentioned before about the BDS movement had been active all over Europe and other places in order to try and prevent people from artists from coming to participate in Tel Aviv in this year's Eurovision Song Contest. And Ireland has been a pretty hectic place with regards to the activities of BDS. Tell us something about it and what was their activities in trying to prevent Ireland from participating this year?
Okay, well, the two main organisations who are really anti it would be SADACA, the Ireland-Palestine Alliance, and also the Ireland-Palestine Solidarity Campaign. And both of those organisations have pretty much been working in tandem ever since Netta won the Eurovision Song Contest last May. And in fact, I'd only started up the organisation a week. I was a week into the position, and after the great joy and excitement of seeing Israel win the competition, we realised that we had a pretty tough campaign on our hands. So almost immediately they started up basically trying to get the Eurovision to pull out of Israel, and I think that was a global campaign to try and get the Eurovision not to actually perform or host the event in Israel. When that failed, the Ireland-Palestine Solidarity Campaign here started to target RTE. They are our national broadcaster, with letters, and then when it wasn't going to work, they started targeting the singer as well. So they've been coming in on it on a kind of from a multi-pronged approach.
Uh, so how influential were they getting? Because I was from over here was hearing they were having some support even in the government and in the media as well in Ireland.
Well, I don't think. Well, yes, certainly from Senator Norris. He is very vocal in his condemnation of Israel. He was very outspoken in trying to persuade RTE to pull out of the Eurovision, and also for the singer to pull out of the Eurovision. So the boycott movement, they first of all they tried to, or they targeted the musicians in Ireland. So the union of musicians, trying to get them on board. Then they targeted the LGBT community to accuse Israel of pinkwashing the Eurovision. So they were trying it from the art washing side, the pinkwashing side. Then they got on board the Irish anti-apartheid movement, which was actually set up in the 1960s to counteract apartheid in South Africa. But they tried to get them on board as well. So they were looking for every single possible angle that they could get as much support from. And that was in writing. They were writing letters and emails and staging demonstrations and so forth.
Our viewers can understand that the anti-Israel BDS movement is very heavily funded and very hyperactive and very well organized. And in certain fields, I think they've been affected. But basically, even like this issue with regard to Eurovision, it's based on a fallacy. And in Ireland, it was a big fail because Ireland is going to participate this year. Is that correct?
Yeah. Oh, yes, very much so. I mean, I believe that not one country actually pulled out, and not one artist pulled out.
So not one. It was
a
huge fail.
It was an absolutely humongous fail, and they're not very happy about it. But so, look, we can only celebrate here because it was a fail. All of the countries are going, and we're delighted that Sarah McTiernan is going. She's going to be representing us with a song called 22. And she hasn't given into any of the pressure. I know that the IPSC were writing her open letters from all sorts of organizations and all sorts of individuals from different backgrounds, trying to get her to pull out, trying to get her to respond. There was an awful intimidatory atmosphere on Twitter, and we asked Rory Cowan. He's an actor here in Ireland. He's very supportive of Israel. He's been going out there since 1982. And we asked him if he would make a little video, which he did, and we posted it up on our YouTube. And he was basically saying, look, guys, back off Sarah. This is a singing competition, and it shouldn't be made political, and stop the bullying and stop the intimidating. And it didn't work as far as BDS is concerned. It didn't work. So we're delighted that here we are today, and the competition is going ahead as planned.
I think that's very good. I mean, we were from an Israeli perspective, we looked on it. The Eurovision was going to go ahead. It's going to be a huge success. Everybody, as I said before, we're going to have a huge party, and it would be sad, really sad, if Ireland had pulled out and Ireland hadn't been at the party. And I think it would actually damage Ireland and even the Eurovision more than it would damage really Israel, because Ireland, of all countries, has the biggest success ever in the history of Eurovision. Tell us something about the Irish history in Eurovision.
Okay, well, Ireland has a very long and illustrious history with the Eurovision. Ireland actually won a total of 7 times, and I don't believe any other country has won that amount of times. Won for the first time in 1970 with a song called All Kinds of Everything, won by a Northern Irish girl, 17-year-old Dana, who actually went on to try and become president of Ireland later. She was not successfully, but and then in the 1980s, a guy called Johnny Logan won. He won in 1980 and 1987. So I think that was a first again for Ireland, because I don't think any one singer has won the competition twice. But then in the 1990s, that was really our golden era for Eurovision. We won 3 consecutive years. We won in 92, 93, 94, and then again in 96, or 97 actually, yeah, in 97. So a total of 7 times. And in fact, in 1994, when we hosted the competition, Riverdance, which I'm sure you've heard of, it became a hit, a worldwide hit. But that was actually launched at Eurovision 1994 in Dublin. So a very long and illustrious history with Eurovision.
That's wonderful, and this is the reason why we're very happy that your Irish participants are here, because it's a great advertisement for Ireland. And if BDS had won and Ireland hadn't participated, Ireland would have been a big loser on this. So
Sure.
I'm very happy about the fact that your organization was partially responsible and worked very actively in offsetting the attempts of BDS to damage the Eurovision Song Contest, and let's put it bluntly, damage the Irish participation and chances of expressing themselves and promoting Ireland in the Eurovision Song Contest. So we're delighted to have them. Well, Jackie, I want to thank you very much for joining us today. It's a very useful contribution. And through you and your followers as well from Israel, you know, keep watching the Eurovision Song Contest. It's going to be a great festival. Thanks, Jackie.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. All the best.
Well, that's so, as we've heard from Jackie, the BDS movement wanted to stop people participating from Ireland. This was also going on in Germany and some other countries. But as Jackie quite rightly said, all 41 participants are here in Israel. They've done the rehearsals, and this is the week of the semi-finals and finals. Nobody has backed out. So it was a huge fail for BDS. But before we get on to the positive side of the Eurovision, there's still one negative thing that I have to inform you about. Expect to hear something from the group from Iceland, a group called Hatari, who are coming and singing a capitalist, anti-Israel song. You'll see this group bearing spikes and chains and leather, and they're here with a bit of a hate message. The translation of the group Hatari, the full name, is Hate Will Prevail. I hardly think this is the tone you need for the Eurovision Song Contest, which has always been an uplighting and unifying experience. And they arrived here surprisingly while Israel was under 700 Palestinian rockets. We were being bombarded with there, and we Israelis and the Eurovision participants, including the Icelandic group, were being defended by the Israel IDF. So I think their political negativity in their song in the Eurovision Song Contest will drop like a dead BDS deadweight. But let's talk on the positive side. First of all, I'm going to tell you something of what's going on here. I mentioned at the outset that there's a huge party going on in Israel and in Tel Aviv right now. It extends beyond the Eurovision participants and the rehearsals and everything that's going on there. There are plenty of stages, about 8, 9, 10 stages set around Tel Aviv with Eurovision allied events going on. But there's a huge Eurovision village that's been set up on the beachfront, on the seafront between Tel Aviv and Jaffa. And every night, events are going on. We've had Israeli dancing and Mayuma beat magic music on Monday from 5 p.m. there's Pride Night with Euroflash and Dana International singing there at Eurovision Village. On Tuesday is the first semi-final night. And before then, there'll be dancing, Israeli dancing and others. There'll be a DJ. There'll be Deuce Point performing and Mush Ben Ari. After, the people there will be able to watch the semi-finals on large screen TVs. On Wednesday, it's a day off for the Eurovision participants, and they will be joining a big party, which is going to be called the EU party, at the Eurovision Village, where you will have Electro Vision playing, and the Eurovision participants will be there spending the evening, letting their hair down a bit in a pulsating party. On Thursday is the night of the second semi-final, and there's a massive beach party there with a DJ, and top artists will be reprising ABBA songs. The big screen will show the semi-finals, and the party continues with the Balkan beatbox music from midnight onwards. And Friday is a day where the Eurovision isn't going out, and there'll be another party there starting from 12 noon with DJ, afternoon artist, and sunset to music. And then Saturday at the Eurovision Village starts at 6 p.m. where we have Beatlemania. Then we have a live show with an Israeli group called Ethnics and a single called Shafita. And then from 10 p.m., the large screens will be screening for the public there the Eurovision finals. And then after the final, the party goes on, and we expect a number of the participants from the Eurovision after the Eurovision to come and join in the party there as well. So it's a week-long festival of parties and music and enjoyment. But as for the Eurovision itself, let me give you, Jackie gave you some of the Irish, and sure enough, the Ireland are the winners when it comes to the most successes in the Eurovision Song Contest. Israel only started in the Eurovision Song Contest in 1973. But by 1978, Israel won the Eurovision Song Contest with the Yemenite singer called Isaac Cohen singing a song called Abani B. And then surprisingly, when Israel won the right to stage the Eurovision Song Contest, we did it in Jerusalem. And the following year, 1979, Israel won it again, this time with Gary Atari and a group called Milk and Honey singing a song which most of you know called Hallelujah. I always took a bit of time before we had our next win. This was 1998. When Israel was represented by Dana International with a song called Diva. Now, it was a long wait, 20 years from Diva to our next success last year in 2018. I want to ask you people a question. Have you ever noticed that a lot of the voting going on by the voters in Eurovision always seems to be sort of cliquish between the countries? Why is it, for instance, we ask, why do Scandinavian countries vote for other Scandinavian countries? Why is it that Cyprus always give their 12 points to Greece and Greece always give their 12 points to Cyprus? And the same goes with Macedonia and Croatia. Finland, maybe Estonia. Watch out for these little things when it comes to voting. It's quite unusual. Anyway, last year, we have a talent contest over here on who is going to represent Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest. And we were quite impressed by a young girl who came on, nobody knew who she was, with a very original sound. And this was Netta. And she won the hearts of the Israelis, and she performed a song called Toy in the Eurovision Song Contest and won again. And this is the reason the Eurovision Song Contest is coming back to Israel, this time not in Jerusalem, but in Tel Aviv. Let me give you a little side story. Actually, this year, there was a particular group, a band, that the Israelis really took to their hearts with great emotion. It's a group called the Shalva Band. And they actually won the Israeli talent contest to represent Israel in this year's Eurovision Song Contest. You will see this group because they've been invited to perform during the semi-finals their own song. The Shalva Band is a band made up of musicians and singers with certain disabilities, as you will see. And I think they will touch your heart as they touch the heart of all Israelis. Now, what happened with the Shalva Band, why they're not performing representing Israel, is because the Shalva Band have certain members in the band who are religious Jews, young people, but religious Jews. And unfortunately, they have the rehearsals through the day on Shabbat. And the Eurovisions were asked if they could do something to accommodate the Shalva Band, but the Eurovision organizers said, no, we must stick to our schedule. And the Shalva Band declined the opportunity of representing Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest. But as I said, they will be performing a special song. Watch out for them during the semi-finals where they will be singing as one of the guest artists. Instead of the Shalva Band, Israel is going to be represented by Kobi Marimi, who is a singer, quite a new talent, and he has an unusual, dramatic, almost operatic tone to his voice. And he's singing a song called Home. Let me tell you that in the first rehearsal, the song is so emotional that in fact Kobi finished his rehearsal actually crying. I think you might be, again, moved by the voice and the tone of Kobi Marimi and the words of his song, Home. Now, for you viewers who are going to be watching the semi-final and the final, I can tell you that the whole week will be spent with a lot of star-studded personalities who will be appearing. Bar Raffaeli, the well-known Israeli model, for instance, will be one of the presenters. Gal Gadot is putting in an appearance. I don't think she'll be singing, though. And the big hit of all is Madonna is coming over from America with 22 musicians and dancers to perform 2 special songs during the night of the final on a Saturday. So it's a great time in Israel and in Tel Aviv right now. We want you to be part of the party, the Eurovision 2019 Eurovision Song Contest in Tel Aviv. Welcome to the party. Put all the negativity behind you. Have a great time. Have a ball. Enjoy the show. And thank you for listening to the show. This is Barry Shaw for the Voice of Israel on Cooltv saying thank you. Laila Tov, Shalom from Israel. Bye.